hello. Hello, hello. in 2 or 3 minutes, we will be starting the event, so we would like everyone to get settled down. Thank you. So before we officially start, I just want to explain a few things to everyone in the audience. So right now the event is being recorded to 3 different cameras, and it is being also YouTube live streamed. And we have one presenter who's joining us via Zoom. And then we will be using multiple software during the presentations. So there is myriad of media technologies going on, and different software device presentation is going on. So we will be switching back and forth from in presentation, from Zoom presentation as well. So when we have multiple technology playing together, sometimes things don't work as we expected. So when something like that happens, so just be patient with us as we figure out how to fix those issues. So with that, within 1 minute, we will get the event started. Thank you.
So good evening, everyone. I just want to welcome you to this 6th annual, can you believe it, 6 years, 6th annual Big Reveal event on behalf of the whole team, the Florida Data Science for Social Good team. We want to welcome you. This year, we were able to do this event in person. The last 2 years, we've been doing it virtually through Zoom, and so we're really glad that you could be here. We also have people joining us through YouTube Live, and so we welcome you all as well. My name is Dan Richard. I'm one of the co-directors of this program, and I'm going to turn things over to Karthik so he can.
Thank you. And my name is Dr. Karthik Mapati. I go by Karthik. I'm an associate professor in UNF School of Computing and one of the co-directors for this program. So we do have our 2 advisory board members, who are both of them are in here, and you guys will be hearing from them soon. We are Ari from Jacksonville Jaguar and Matt from NLP Logic. When 2016, when Dan and I were talking about whether or not we should form this program, so Ari and Matt were one of the 2 first people we went and discussed with them about doing this kind of program. As a board member, their essential duties are helping us to ensure we are scoping the project right, picking the right project, and pairing the interns appropriately so that the projects will be successful. They also help us finding the sponsorship, funding sources, and different type of opportunities that we need to be successful. Right, so again, we thank them for continued support and service for us. Thank you. So one of the help they also do is help us find our industry Sherpas. So our Sherpas, their role is really guide our interns to successfully finish the project. So this is this Florida Data Science for Social Good is an intensive 12-week summer internship program. So as we work on, the interns will find a lot of different type of problems. Some of them will be technical nature, some of them will be in computational nature, making the code run efficient, or some of them in visualization in nature. So there will be a lot of different technical problems. Most often, these need trial and error. So when we do it in 12 weeks, we have to find the solution fast. We don't have the luxury to do the trial and error, so we want the solution. So for that, we rely on this group of individuals and their experience to find the solutions quickly. Our interns essentially present the project progress on a every other week basis, and then they put forth the problems and the questions, and most often they jump in, sometimes on individual level basis as a group, to come up with good, fast solutions to overcome the problems we face. And some of them are in here, and then some of them are joined via YouTube live thing. So it's Katie from NLP Logic, Chad from Block Power, Jay from dictionary.com, and Victor from Jacksonville Jaguar, Andrew from Turbatory, Mary from NLP Logic, and Harsh from Crawley, and Laura from JEA. Right? And many of them have been with us for all the past 6 years. So again, thank you for their time and effort. So along with them, the other group of individuals who are also very key for our past years of success are our subject matter expertise. So as we're solving data science problem, we're also solving social good problem. We need subject matter expertise not only on data science side, we need the subject matter expertise on the social science side as well. So they essentially help and ensure the solutions we are coming up with are going to work in that social context, and it is going to make a difference and impact for our community partners. So this year, the group of individuals who have been helping us are Dr. Besa Aslan from UNF Mathematics and Statistics, Dr. Misha Diero from UNF Mathematics and Statistics, Dr. Duman from Political Science, Dr. Fisak from UCF, Dr. Goel from Business Analytics in UNF, and Dr. Ayan Ong from Flagler College. And then we have Zudong Lu from UNF Computing, and Amanda Pascal from College of Education, and Dr. Gordon Ratika from Anthropology, and Dr. Sandeep Rediwari from UNF Computing, and then Dr. Christy Sweeney from UNF Sports Management. So again, they also meet along with our industry Sherpas on every other week basis. And finally, we would like also to do a special thanks to Dr. Mike Bender from UNF Political Science Department. So for one of the projects, you guys will soon see, for the League of Women Voters project, we need data set for that. So Dr. Mike Bender have access to a lot of voting data, and when we reached out to him, and he gave us access to the data, without that, we could not have worked on that project. So very big thanks for him to giving access to critical data that we needed. All right, so the main reason now why all of us are here. So we essentially have 6 interns who have been working with us for past 3 months. And they all have grown quite a lot in the last 3 months. And soon enough, you will get to see the results of it. So first, I'd like to introduce, and you guys will soon see, Mohammed. So he's an undergraduate data science student. He's moving from junior to senior stage. So he will be soon looking for internship and full-time opportunities so that he will be a data scientist professional soon enough. And then we have Brian. He's a master's data science student from West Florida. He just graduated, and he has lined up an internship with the CXS. So he will be soon starting with them. And then we have Sarah Minnigan. So she's not in here. She's joining us via Zoom today. She is a doctoral student in psychology in University of South Florida. She, I think, has almost 1 more year left out, and she has been debating between whether she wants to go into academic career or more of an industry research side of the disciplines. And then we have Abhishek. He is a University of South Florida business analytics student. He got a few more semesters to finish up, and then after that, he'll be looking for full-time and internships with the data science type of positions. And then we have Adityan Ranganathan. He's also a USF business analytics student. He's just graduated. He has some few offers in his hand, and he's trying to figure out which one to pick. So, and then we have Meenakshi Sharma. She's a Masters of Public Health student. She will also has a few more semesters of coursework left, and she will be looking for a job in healthcare with data and statistics type of job discipline. So let's give them all big hands, and we'll soon we'll be hearing from them. So while these individuals have been working in the internship program, there's a few more things we want to share. So we've been doing this program for past 6 years. Our first program was in 2017. And one of the things that get-go we wanted to do is we want to make it a multidisciplinary program. We wanted data science students, statistics students, analytics students work along with psychology and political science and other non-STEM discipline as well. So as you can see, in the past 6 years, including this year, we have worked with 44 students, and then 17 of them are from the social science discipline. And while from the project side, while majority of our projects are from Duval County, you can see for past 6 years, we have worked with 21 different projects, while we have only few other projects from other parts of the Florida counties. But keeping to the name true, Florida Data Science for Social Good, all of our projects that we have worked are around and impacting state of Florida. So as you can see, we do want to reach out to other parts of the state in here. So if anyone have the network to reach out to nonprofits and other public sector organization across our state, please do reach out to us after the event. So apart from the internship type of activities, as part of our program, we also been trying to work kind of more of a longitudinal nature of the projects, and we work on these through in fall and the spring kind of semesters. So for this year, we've been working with Abhijax. So their question is really, Abhijax provides affordable homes. So what is really the impact to the families who are receiving affordable homes, and particularly when they've been living in that home for a long term? So we have been interviewing few of the homeowners, and we have been collecting data on the impact of home ownership on their education, on their employment, on their wealth building, and on their health aspects. So Dr. Tess Chusan from Public Health has been leading this effort with us, and Athaline and Broadening from computing, those students have been helping us come up with the research plan, develop the interview guide, whereas the other students from public health, Jacob, Kelly, and Darlene, has been helping us conducting the interview and doing the data collection. We just want to let you guys know that we are just not an internship program. That's the reason for this slide, but we are not going to talk about this project today. These are the 3 projects we're going to talk about: Cathedral Arts Project, GameFace Project, and League Project. So, but since not only the interns work hard on these projects, Dan and I also work hard on this project. Before we let them speak, we would like to know what exactly is the Data Science for Social Good program. For that, I would like Dan to continue.
So I know many of you may have noticed that data is becoming a much more integrated part of our everyday life. In many cases, your refrigerator is collecting data on you. As we see this revolution happening, there's more and more need and more demand for people to be facile, right, with dealing with data and understanding it, looking for patterns. And there's also a great opportunity for us to use this data to impact the human well-being. And that's part of what we do in data science, is not just looking at data about maybe social media posts, but really dealing with the human condition and seeing all the data that's available for that. Sorry, yes. Yes, that was what I was talking about. So there, we help our students understand, right, what is this new field. We help them see the power of this new area and realize that there are many opportunities in the future for our data scientists to be involved in their society, in their world. Yes, next slide. So what is data science for social good? We can have data science, but how does the social good component come into this? And so these programs were started with this name and focus. in 2013 at University of Chicago, and they've really blossomed over the years. So more and more programs are coming up at different universities, and the key here is that these programs work with nonprofit sector or public sector data, so data that has some sort of social impact, and they work with the data, formulate a plan, do some analysis, and then the ultimate goal is to improve the decision-making, improve data-driven decision-making about the social issues that we face. And as you are probably aware, many of you work in this field, you're aware that any kind of social issue that we deal with is multidisciplinary. There's not one discipline that is going to have a command of know everything that's going on for these social issues. So this kind of approach is definitely a multidisciplinary approach, and we take that here at Florida DSSG. So that's data science for social good. What are we doing? So we want to focus specifically on the nonprofit sector and those public organizations. A lot of data science work is being done in the for-profit sector, and so we want to support those nonprofit organizations for having access to these kinds of technical skills so that they can gain these actionable insights. But one of the keys here is training data scientists with a social conscience, right? And at Florida DSSG, we call this, that we say that we are social trustees of knowledge. And we explain that to students that we've been gifted with this education, a wonderful education. And so we want to provide back to that community that helped us and supported us. And so in whatever ways that we can use those skills to support them. So that's how we do our work. So DSSG programs, as I said, have become quite popular. There you can see many different universities, University of Virginia, Stanford, University of Washington. And in fact, over the last couple of years, we've worked with these different partners to develop a roadmap for data science for social good programs, and it's now published as a book, as an electronic book. And this was spearheaded by University of Washington, but we worked together and collaborated with them and have done workshops to support other universities and other programs that want to develop, just giving them some insights about what things to do, how to look for these things, how to structure the programs and support the programs. So this year's Florida Data Science for Social Good program was supported by the FIS Computing Distinguished Professor Award, Professorship Award, and also this event was sponsored by NLP Logic, so we thank them for their generous efforts. Thank you. So next, we'd like to have a few people address you and talk a bit about how they have supported the Data Science for Social Good program. And so I'd first like to invite Dr. Sharif Efayumi at School of Computing.
So we would like the guest speakers to join this way.
Good evening, everyone. Wow, too much light. So when Karthik and Dan asked me to speak, which I did before in previous rounds, I thought that every time we listen to people who overlap each other, talk about the same things, so I decided this time to talk about myself. So hopefully no one would talk about me from the rest of the speakers. And since I'm talking about me, 2 minutes is not enough. So I asked them for 15 minutes. They never replied, but I'm assuming that's a yes. All right, it would be a remiss, I guess, to be here in the 6th round and not talk about what I think made this program really great. This is, in my view, one of the few unique programs in Northeast Florida where public and private entities come together, where businesses and public institutions try to help nonprofits. So I thought that there are many good things in this program here that I would like to perhaps reflect on how I see them. The success of the program, obviously, depends on good students, and we have plenty of. They learn new things. Every year we have a new cohort. Depends on good faculty that lead that effort, and UNF, we have plenty of those too. Depends on Northeast Florida organizations that would entrust UNF on their problems and our students, because again, they make an investment. They spend the time working with our students, working with our faculty to help them solve those problems. And last is the Jacksonville and Northeast Florida IT sector. Again, we have heard the Jaguars, we have heard the NLP Logics, JEA was also on the list, and I'm sure many others have contributed as well. So all these four corners are really important for the success of the project. I want to single out these two gentlemen here. I know we spend a good 1 hour, 1 hour and a half every year talking about what the project did produce, students and data and results and so forth. But what you don't get to see, or everyone doesn't get to see, is how much effort they put into this. I bet you they already have a timeline for next year. They already do. They will start opening call for proposals for people to submit proposals. What you also don't know is the work that they are doing here is not part of their job. It's not part of their job description. When both are evaluated at the end of the year, this hardly makes it into their evaluations. They're teaching, they're researching, they're doing service, and they are doing excellent in all of the three. But this is above and beyond. What's also impressive is they pretty much generate the funding that's needed to run the program. You saw the FIS Distinguished Professorship in Computing. This is something that Kartik was awarded for the past 4 years. And while many would use the money that is generated by that endowed professorship to perhaps get a salary supplement or buy a piece of equipment or travel to a conference, Kartik had been spending that money, most of it, on the students in this program to make sure that the program is live and continues to work. When they thought about the project 6 years ago, I thought it's a great effort. I would really like to see ways of supporting it because it's going to be like for 1 year or 2 years. And I was expecting them to run out. To my surprise, it didn't happen. So you know that in businesses you say, well, you wish your good employees don't win the lottery. I really wish that they both win the lottery because if they do, they're going to continue doing the program and they're going to spend money of what they earned from that lottery on the program. I'm really very proud of being a colleague to both of them. I'm really very proud of being part of Northeast Florida because, again, it's not really easy for those three parties to come together. I did not use 15 minutes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So next we have Dr. Kaveri Subramaniam, excuse me. Got it. She's the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, yes.
So good evening. I want to thank Dr. Umapati and Dr. Rishad for inviting me today. So this is my 4th week on the job, and this is literally the first time I'm meeting students, so I'm excited about that. I don't have the humorous story, I don't have that background of supporting this project, but I believe very strongly in what it's seeking to accomplish. So I thought I would just share some of my thoughts about it. So as I said, it's also my first time at the big reveal, and I'm really eager to hear the results of your project. So first of all, I do want to congratulate all the students here for seeking out and completing the internship. I'm sure you are aware of this, and we've already heard, but this is truly a unique, cutting-edge experiential learning opportunity that you participated in. So my reflections, right? So we are faced today with complex social issues that are contributing to disparities in health, in civic participation, and criminal justice across the US. It has become clear that tackling these complex problems require new and innovative approaches that can leverage the data revolution that is taking place around us. We have also come to realize that an education focused on a single discipline does not adequately prepare students for the challenges of the 21st century. I'm reminded a little bit about what Albert Einstein wrote. All religion, arts, and sciences are branches of the same tree. And to that end, scholars have been recommending that we adopt an educational approach that integrates different disciplines and that provides experiential learning opportunities. Collaborating with community partners to tackle an important social issue is a transformative learning opportunity. And I will say this was one of the things that really attracted me to UNF. The Florida Data Science for Social Good has all these innovative elements. Working in an interdisciplinary team and learning to look at an issue from a disciplinary lens other than yours is great preparation for the world of work that I know some of you are already preparing for. The soft skills of teamwork, collaboration, and oral and visual communication skills that you gained from this internship will also be invaluable to you. Finally, and most importantly, the relationships you formed with your program directors, faculty mentors, industry Sherpas, peers, and community partners will be a part of the network of resources you can draw on as you enter the workforce. These are the learning opportunities that really make for a wonderfully rich and exciting, memorable educational experience. I want to applaud the program faculty, the project partners, and the data science Sherpas who made it possible, and of course the funding, support of the funding partners as well. Congratulations again, and I wish you all the best in your future endeavors, and I'm really looking forward to hearing your results. Thank you.
So in order to get this work done, we do need to work with partners, and one central partner, one very close partner in this work has been the Nonprofit Center of Northeast Florida, and Deidre O'Connor is going to be here to tell us about that. Excuse me, Deidre O'Connor. Yeah.
Thank you so much, and I could not agree more. Karthik and Dan, thank you for making our community's health and wellness a priority. And hey everyone, Deirdre Connor from the Nonprofit Center. I'm really thrilled to be here today. Actually, coming to Data Science for Social Good's first big reveal was one of the first things that I did when I started at the Nonprofit Center, and I remember leaving being completely blown away by the work that was done over this short period of time. And 6 years later, I'm really excited about what's happened with so many of the organizations that have participated in Data Science for Social Good over the years. And so we're really, really proud and excited to see how far this program has come and the type of impact that it's had on the sector, because we know from the research that organizations that can demonstrate their impact are more likely to be successful in the work that they do, in gaining the resources that they need for their work. And we've seen that manifest in the organizations that have participated. Really thrilled to hear more about today's projects and to see the work of all of our members kind of coming through in the projects that we're going to see tonight. And then finally, I just want to encourage all of you, if you're not already connected with an organization, if you want to be, reach out to me or to Karthik and Dan, and we need you, the students. We need really everyone at the table when it comes to a strong community. And really that's what all of our 1,300 nonprofits in Northeast Florida are doing, is solving some of our community's most significant challenges. So thank you to the students, thank you to UNF for making this possible, and thank you especially to Karthik and Dan.
Thank you. Yeah, so next we're going to hear from Ari, and he's one of our board members. We thought he's been with us from the beginning. Remember that first meeting in the conference room, and it was really great. He was very encouraging and supporting of our program, so we appreciate him.
Yeah, thank you, Dan, Karthik. This has been really cool. I can't believe when you said 6 years. I mean, that feels like ages ago. And I feel like I say this every year, but 6 years really feels like a lot. And it's amazing all of the work that you've done to get us to this point, and everybody else that's been involved, and the Sherpas that have been here every year or just this past year. The work's been awesome, and I'm really excited to see what the students have to say today. I mean, congratulations in advance. You're not quite out of the woods yet, but I'm sure it'll be really great. And just in terms of, as a member of the Jaguars, we are only as strong as the community is. We wouldn't be the Jaguars without the Jacksonville community. So any way that we can support and help is really valuable to us. And as a person who's involved, with data and how we use it at the Jaguars and how much success we've had with data, it's awesome to be able to lend those skills, those resources out to the community, so that same sort of insight that's so valuable to how we do our business can be used by so many others. So once again, thanks to everybody for all the work that you're doing. Really cool. Excited for today.
Thanks, Ari. So next is up is Matt, and Matt has also been there since the beginning, and we appreciate his support.
Yes, thank you. And I borrowed a few of my minutes to Sharif, so I can't quite take the full allotment, but I'll be quick anyway, I promise. Just two things to say. One is this program kind of intersects something that's really important in NLP Logics. One is data science. If you don't know that's what we do and what we love, and also community. And so we're very honored to sponsor. We're very honored to be part of this program since the beginning. So thank you for that opportunity. And then second thank you is just everybody who's online and everybody who came here today to support this. That is important. Obviously, we could be, having dinner, probably cutting into some family time. So just appreciate everybody that came here today to show your support. So thank you.
Thanks, Matt. So we will hear from Dr. John Kantner. He's the Associate Provost and Vice President for Research at UNF.
Well, this is great. I realize I'm the last person in between the presentations and getting to hear about these great projects. So I've been at UNF for several years now, having spent the first part of my career at other institutions. One of the reasons that I came to UNF was because of how clearly embedded the university is in the fabric of the community. I think this is sort of best encapsulated by the fact that the Carnegie Foundation has recognized UNF as a community-engaged university. So you might ask, what does that mean? Well, we do have data about that. We actually collect data about that. And so it means a couple of things, just a couple of examples. So if we know that about half, or close to half of our courses actually are flagged in our systems as having a community-engaged component, which means that the faculty and the students are actually involved in some way in trying to contribute back to the Northeast Florida community. We also know, because I had to collect this data as one of my job responsibilities, that the majority of the research the faculty and students are involved in also is directly engaged in the Northeast Florida community. But really, it's projects like this which I think present the best example of the kind of community engagement that the University of North Florida is involved in. The Data Science for Social Good project, I had the privilege of being able to meet with the interns earlier this summer online, but got a chance to talk to them for about 30 minutes. And I shared with them that prior to coming to the University of North Florida, I actually was effectively the chief operating officer of a nonprofit research institute. And one of my responsibilities, of course, was to try to make sure that the institution was making good decisions, and particularly because our donors, our sponsors, the public that was observing what we were doing was very interested to know that we were doing good with the resources that we were provided. We actually were over 100 years old, that institution, and we had a lot of data, tons of data. But as I think many people here know, when you work in a nonprofit, there just is not the time to be able to dive into that data and to really understand it. I could have done it in my spare time, but really my spare time was actually still committed to doing the kinds of programming that we were doing at that organization. I so wish that I could have had this kind of resource available at that time to help me try to understand my data better, make sure I was doing the best stewardship of donor money and the best programs possible. So it's very exciting that we get to hear about these projects tonight. I think from the perspective of UNF, this again is a great example of what we have always hoped to provide for the Northeast Florida community and hope to continue to do so into the future. So without further ado, I get the honor of being able to invite the first project to the stage here. So Brian and Sarah for the Cathedral Arts Project will be our first interns to discuss the project. So thank you all. I think they're here. I can't really see, but, oh, okay.
Having worked as a teacher, I know that the joy in the job comes from the everyday, ordinary, great moments. What is an ordinary, everyday, great moment? It's that moment when a student smiles, just happy to be back at school, or when a parent goes out of their way to thank you for helping their child, or when you have an academic breakthrough with a student. A recent ordinary everyday great moment for Dr. Green, the superintendent of Duval County Public Schools, is when she had the opportunity to meet William Bell. William is a violinist from Riverside High School and recently had the opportunity to perform at Carnegie Hall. Later, when Dr. Green and William met at a school board meeting, it was William who, being so used to the limelight and fame from his artistic abilities, took control of the situation, instructing Dr. Green on how to be posed just perfectly for the photographs. Dr. Green later described William as charming, charismatic, and talented. For Dr. Green, this was her great moment. For our research, we are working with the Cathedral Arts Project, or CAP for short. CAP began as a dance class for 10 students at the St. John's Cathedral and has now grown to have nearly every arts discipline and has reached out to more than 30,000 children in Duval County. Remember William from before? He is a CAP alum. CAP's mission is to empower every student's creative spirit, to elevate arts educators in their field, and to advocate for arts access and equity. For this project, we are focusing on the issue of equity. According to a survey of Duval County principals, 53% of principals responded that they spend between 1 cent and $3.99 per student in their arts classes. This is essentially the cost of a box of crayons and some paper for an entire school year. In the state of Florida, art is not a core subject. Since art is not a core subject, there is no minimum standard that must be met by schools in regards to their arts program. And since there's no minimum standard, some schools may have greater access to arts than others. However, since it is CAP's mission to advocate for equity in the arts, they have partnered with Duval County Public Schools by developing their LEAD survey, or Landscape of the Arts in Duval. This survey began back in the 2018 school year, and CAP is proud to announce that in the most recent school year, they had a 100% response rate. CAP's aim is to use this survey to create a data-informed scoring system that can guide schools on how best to improve their arts programs.
Okay, I hope you all can hear me. I'm taking over from
Yes,
here.
we can hear you.
Okay. Okay, so Florida DSSG partnered with CAP to help facilitate their goals for broadening access to arts in Duval County Public Schools. So the initial goal for this project was to assess how equitable arts programming is across schools in the system. And to better develop a understanding of how different components of art engagement may vary across schools, and to summarize which areas are thriving and which areas should be the focus for future improvement. To assist CAP in guiding arts access in schools, we also plan to provide data-driven insights for optimizing their current survey to fit Duval County, and to provide recommendations for developing an arts in schools scoring system designed for Jacksonville schools. CAP provided us with data from their LEAD survey, which received a 100% response rate for the 2020-2021 school year. The survey covered many topics regarding arts programming in schools, including whether the schools had partnerships with community arts organizations, whether they conducted community engagement activities such as theater productions and music concerts, and the types and number of arts courses available to students. Additionally, we obtained data from Duval County Public Schools and the Florida Department of Education, which provided information about things like achievement test scores, demographics, and behavioral incidents. To summarize, the data available for our analyses were from the 2020 to 2021 school year and included 159 total schools and over 50 variables about school characteristics. Because we had plenty of data to work with, the first step was to identify which measures to use and to calculate summary variables to use in analyses. This also involved cross-checking related variables and verifying the validity of the measures that we selected. We did have some missing values, either due to skipped responses to survey questions or certain schools missing from public records. To deal with this, we used statistical methods to estimate the missing values. We also made sure to identify arts magnet schools and non-traditional schools and excluded them from our analyses. Finally, middle and high schools showed different characteristics from elementary schools, so we conducted separate analyses on middle and high and elementary schools. One of the primary goals of our analysis was to reduce the complexity of the data. So one method for doing this is using factor analysis, which identifies variables with common patterns. So factor analysis allows us to condense all of the measures down into factors, which show unique patterns across the variables. So in this example, factor analysis identified that measure 1 has similar patterns to measure 3 and 4. So it grouped them into one summary factor. Common patterns were also identified between measures 2, 5, and 6. So these were grouped as a second factor. So that means that the data is condensed from 6 measures down to 2, which simplifies our ability to understand the patterns in the data. Latent class analysis works in a similar way. But instead of condensing the measures into factors, it finds groupings of schools or classes that have similar characteristics. So in this example, the analysis identified similarities between the schools in Class 1, Class 2, and Class 3, and sorted them into groups with unique characteristics. These are the results of our factor analysis that we performed for middle and high schools. What we found is that there were 2 factors that were strongly related to arts programming in the schools, but in different ways. Factor 1 was related to internal arts education measures, like arts classes taken per student and student-to-teacher ratios. Factor 3, on the other hand, was more related to external arts activities, like field trips and developing community partnerships. So after simplifying the data into these factors, we wanted to look at how they related to equity in arts programs across DCPS. We found patterns that show clear disparity in the levels of internal arts education. Higher percentages of economically disadvantaged students and higher percentages of students identifying with a minority status were associated with lower levels of internal arts education. So based on these striking patterns, it's very clear that CAP is doing important work in the community by trying to increase arts access for all students. We also looked at associations between arts education and behavioral outcomes, and we found that higher levels of arts education was associated with higher attendance rates and lower rates of discipline incidents. These patterns may involve additional underlying factors that weren't involved in these analyses, but they suggest a relationship between exposure to arts and positive student outcomes. Similarly, we found positive associations between achievement test scores and higher levels of internal arts education. This association was particularly strong for language arts and science test scores, and this is for middle and high schools. In elementary schools, we found the same patterns, but the factor that showed these relationships was actually related to external arts activities like field trips and partnerships. So this association for elementary schools was most pronounced specifically for language arts test scores. So all of this together allows us to draw one possible conclusion from the analysis that internal arts education may be particularly important as students get older, but elementary school students may see unique benefits from exposure to arts in the community outside the classroom. And with that, I'll hand it back to Brian to discuss the latent class analysis.
Using latent class analysis, this is a statistical method that allows us to measure different arts variables along with different social and demographic variables. We took into account factors like engagement, partnership, governance, as well as school test scores, discipline rates, attendance rates, and more. We did this splitting up both for middle and high school and for elementary school. Here's just an example of how the elementary school broke down. Class 1, we'll call it the Accomplish More with Less. What's interesting about this group is that they scored the highest in relation to all arts metrics. They had high engagement, high partnerships, and high governance. But what's interesting is that they reported very low funding, or at least not multiple sources of funding. Group 2, we'll call it the Balanced Arts and Academics. This group scored the highest in relation to elementary school test scores and had pretty high arts programs in general. Group 3, we can call the Hidden Talent. Hidden Talent scored a little bit lower in relation to arts metrics and were more affected by students from economically disadvantaged backgrounds and minority backgrounds. Using the latent class analysis, we were able to gain perspective onto the different characteristics that differentiate schools in Duval County. Then, with factor analysis, we were able to figure out the indicators that showed the overall health of an arts program. Using these two in pair, we're able to create some recommendations to improve the survey and to develop a scoring system moving forward for CAP. While the characteristics that are necessary for the survey are different for both elementary school and high school, we'll just give a few general recommendations for this case. One is we would like to see more information on the types of fundings that schools have. For example, did they rely solely on their district funding, or did their PTA rally to gather funds, or did principals go out and seek grants in the community? Also, we would like to have more information on the number of arts classes taken. For example, with the current question with elementary schools, they ask, what percentage of students have taken an art class? Well, in the case of elementary schools, nearly 100% of students have taken an arts class. So maybe in order to increase the robustness of this question, we say, how many arts classes did a school take? Did they take a visual arts class or a dance class, for example? So on the horizon for CAP, we would like to suggest that they continue to collect more data, optimize their survey based on some of the recommendations that we've made, guide schools in order to make year-to-year improvements, and we can work towards having equal access in the arts in Duval County. Thank you. Now, I would like to welcome Meenakshi and Abhishek from GameFace.
There was a girl who played basketball from the start of her elementary school to all the way up to her college. Her parents would do everything to keep her motivated. Before the start of every game, her mom would say, "Put your game face on, you can do it. Put your game face on." Yes, you heard it right, it's game face. So those encouraging words led to the development of strong determination and willpower inside that little girl. And that little girl is grown up now. She is the founder of GameFace. Her name is Ashanti. Her name is Ashanti Jackson. And as you see here, it says GameFace 413. So now you must be thinking, what's 413 here? So 413 represents the scripture of Philippians, which says that I can do everything through Christ who strengthens me. So this is the real-time story of a teenager who was very quiet, shy, had no interest in studies, and had very low confidence level and very low interest in basketball. So he joined GameFace, and where GameFace provides mental training, physical training, and spiritual training. So in mental training, they focus on speaking, writing, STEM, and reading. And physical training, they focus on physical performance as well as on mental conditioning. And spiritual training is important for developing the positive attitudes among the youth. So this teenager joined this program, and after joining this program, he excelled in all those areas where he was lagging behind, and he created a strong interest and skill level in basketball. So that was the story of one person, one individual, what he achieved after joining GameFace program. Now I will talk about overall results of the GameFace. So the students who join GameFace program are most likely to attend college, get good grades in exams, and develop positive attitudes, stay away from bad influences, and take leadership role. So because of the lack of positive outlets in Duval County, the rate of juvenile crime and violence are increasing. And there is a lack of physical health mentorship and coaching programs, and due to this, most of the youths are not taking care of their health. They are found out of shape in health, and also there are the opportunities for the character development, and GameFace is working on closing the gap on all these areas by identifying the communities where they can offer the program. So here we started by collecting data. So we collected data from Census and Florida Department of Health, Florida Department of Juvenile Justice, and many other sources. And then we combined all the data sources according to the zip code, and then we worked on visualizing the locations and to identify the areas for the GameFace where they can make an impact. So in the beginning, we had 12 data sets, and with lots and lots of variables, and we started working on cleaning those variables so that we can have a lower number of variables, and then we did normalizing the values, so just to make sure that we are comparing apples with apples and not the apple with oranges or any other fruit in the basket. And then we had our data ready for the analysis, and we did factor analysis and correlation analysis, and then we were ready for our data visualizations through the Tableau dashboards, which you will get to see in the later slides. So the fun part with our project is that we had no data available when we started the project, while the other two projects in our internship, they had lots and lots of data. So first we had to look for the sources where we can find the data from. So we went to different websites. Like for Census, we got Census data, and from Census we got income data, poverty data, age and sex, and school enrollment data. And then in juvenile crime, we got juvenile arrest data. In schools, we found disciplinary action, and the schools, those already have mental programs in their schools. And in health data, we collected data related to deaths due to hypertension, deaths due to diabetes, and deaths due to nutritional deficiency in each zip code. Then churches with food banks according to the zip code, and food deserts in the zip code. And then we collected and we combined all this data, and there were still lots of variables, and we wanted to reduce the number of variables to fewer number of factors, and also we wanted to know the relationship between how strongly these variables are related to those factors. And for that purpose, we did factor analysis. And those were the results of factor analysis. So factor analysis provided us with 3 factors. Those were important, like urban population, health gap, stressed neighborhood. And we found that total population, total crime, child poverty, food deserts, poverty, BIPOC, they are related to urban population. And the variables, poverty, BIPOC, deaths due to diabetes, deaths due to hypertension, they are related to health gap. And variables, deaths due to hypertension and juvenile felony were related to stressed neighborhood.
So based on the factor analysis, we came up with 3 variables. I would be focusing on one of the variables, which is stress neighborhood. So in this visualization, we can see a relation between 2 of the factors within the stress neighborhood, which are percentage of juvenile arrests, which are of type felony relative to misdemeanor, and percentage of deaths due to hypertension. Here we can see that there is a positive trend between these 2 factors, and the data points in this visualization represent the zip codes within the Duval County. If we analyze further, we can see that zip code 32209 is towards the higher end for both of the factors, that is percentage felony and percentage death due to hypertension. Having seen the correlation analysis, I would like to demonstrate the visualizations that we have made in Tableau. So this visualization shows 3 major issues that we are facing in Duval County, one of which is juvenile arrests in Duval County. The other is disciplinary actions happening within the schools in Duval County. And the third one is the health issue related to Duval County. So as we are focusing on the factor of stressed neighborhood, if we see for juvenile arrest, we have selected offenses which are of type felony or weapon related, which correlates more with the stressed neighborhood. In case of disciplinary action, we have selected a type of incident being fighting. And in case of health data, if we select deaths due to hypertension, as it relates more to the stressed neighborhood, we can see a shaded map where the darker shades indicate that these issues have high intensity in these areas. In case of juvenile arrests, we can see that the area within the zip code 32210, 32209, and 32208, all of these zip codes are popping up in all the 3 issues that we can see. So if we analyze further for disciplinary actions in the schools within Duval County, there are lots of incidents that are happening within Duval County. But if we particularly see the fighting incidents happening within the schools, we see that the darkest region in the map is the area with zip code 32210. And on clicking that, we can see the list of schools and the programs that these schools have. If we focus on one of the schools, which is Lakeshore Middle School, we can see that they do not have any student club program. Or for example, if we see Edward H. White School, they do not have mental health staff. So this would be a good opportunity for GameFace to collaborate with these schools and set up that training program. Having seen some interesting visualizations, it would be a good time to package some recommendations for the GameFace project. So as we have seen, there were 3 major issues that we saw within Duval County. As far as juvenile crime is concerned, the areas in zip code 32210 and 32208 are higher. In case of fighting incidents within school, the more incidents are happening in zip code 32210 and 32218, while as far as health issues are concerned, the area 32209 or 32210 are on the higher side. If we analyze further, we can see that the area which is common for all the three issues, which is zip code 32210 or Lakeshore or the Cedar Hill area in the zip code, this is the area which GameFace should focus on setting up their training camp. This was one of the analysis that we have done. However, the visualizations and the analysis that we have done have a lot of other factors and filters that we can go through so that GameFace can identify the areas where they can make an impact. Finally, we would like to recommend a plan of action for GameFace. To start with, they can collaborate with schools and churches so that they can implement their training program while collaborating with the schools. They can gather data within GameFace. They can gather data such as athlete performance or health statistics related to the athletes, and also the rate of retention for the youths who take the GameFace program. And finally, they can also gather data related to the students who took the GameFace program and did their graduation or received college scholarships on the basis of their athletic performance. So based on the analysis that we have done, we feel that GameFace is on a right track of providing physical, mental, and spiritual training. We believe that the progress of GameFace doesn't stop here, and they should continue gathering more data and focus on the recommended areas that we have suggested so that they can close the gap and address the social issue that we are facing. Thank you. Next, I would like to introduce Adi and Mahmood, who will be explaining League of Women Voters project.
Hello, I'm Mahmoud Abuturi, and I work alongside Adi on the Finding Insights in Florida Voter Turnout Project. Before we start, I'd like to thank UNF, especially Dr. Umapathy and Dr. Richard for this amazing opportunity to learn and grow in the data science field. Funny enough, today is actually election day, so this presentation couldn't come at a better time. Just from a show of hands from the audience, how many of you have noticed an increase in interest in elections over the past couple of years? All right. On the flip side, any increase in disinterest over the past couple of years? Okay, we got one. These type of questions are exactly the kind of questions that our client, the League of Women Voters of Florida, strive to answer on a regular basis. So who exactly are the League of Women Voters of Florida? The League of Women Voters of Florida, LWVFL for short, are a nonpartisan organization that works to educate the general public in legislative issues and then encouraging them to be active and informed in their government. Seeing people actively discussing and voting on key issues is the main goal of the League of Women Voters of Florida, no matter their beliefs on a specific bill or law or their political party affiliation. Other services of theirs include registering returning citizens, as well as providing voter services, endlessly working to register new voters every day. There are 29 local chapters in the state of Florida, all working towards the same goals. Every election, the League of Women Voters of Florida, as well as other voter organizations, work to push voter participation. After these elections, these results become public data, and it's our job as data scientists to make a story out of it, to make some sense out of these records. We can do this by creating and seeing patterns and trends, as well as creating visualizations to create some context and tell a story about this data. And in the end, the party interested can create a plan of action to address this specific trend or pattern that they deem to be an opportunity. So from this, we took 3 points to focus on. We want to analyze the voter turnout and registration and map these analytical results on a zip code level, and in turn empowering the League of Women Voters of Florida in their decision making to facilitate future improvement. I remember at the beginning of this internship, I was discussing with Adi about a previous experience he had where he told me it took him 3 months just to collect the data. Well, we had all the data at the beginning, but it still took us nearly 3 months to just clean and prepare it. The voter files came courtesy of Dr. Mike Bender, as Dr. Umapathy had said previously, as well as the census files from Dr. Mike Bender and census.gov website. The voter files are separated into 2 parts, voter registration and voter history. Registration includes your personal information, the name, the date of birth, race, age, etc. And history focuses more on the election info. The election info from 2006 to 2021, which is more the election date, the election type, as well as the voting method by the voter ID. Each of these had 67 files, one for each county, and ranged from 10,000 to 10 million rows. The census data looks like a walk in the park compared to that, because we had 8 files, but each had 983 rows for each zip code. Not for each zip code, for the zip codes. This included information on demographics, sex and data, sex and age, and income and family status. To begin, we prepared the voter registration, which included data cleaning stage 1, where we removed all personable and sensitive information. This included your name, this included districting, and your specific mailing address. Next part was data cleaning stage 2, where we removed the publicly exempted records, and then we finally got to extract the data that we would need in future merging, which included the voter ID, county codes, zip codes, and demographics, including sex and age. Now I'd like to pass it on to Adi.
All right, thanks, Mahmood. I'm Adityan Rangarajan, and I'll continue from where Mahmood left. So as you can see, we have a ton of data in here. Although 10 million, 20 million doesn't seem way too much, it's for every single county file. And even before I continue off, firstly, I want to thank the mentors, and especially Chad, who and also the team which had worked on this project last year, because we were able to use a lot of the code that was existing and it was available, and make improvements on it, which really made the process smooth for us. So to continue, as Mahmood mentioned, our first focus was to ensure that we remove all sensitive personal information, remove all the data of those people who had opted for public exemption. And we also had to do a lot of feature engineering to get the right data, which is useful for analysis and decision making for the league. Coming to data extraction, we came up with a voting method classification, which was manual, which you'll see in the next slide. And here our focus is mainly on the federal general elections from 2014 to 2020. So the idea of generating flat files is something we continued from last year. So the way it works is, for every single person in the data set, we have historical data of whether they voted or not in 2014, 16, 18, and 20. So if someone voted, it's a 1. If they did not, it's a 0. So those who had voted throughout for all the 4 years get classified into category 1, which is always voting. If they did not vote in the past, but they voted recently, they're classified into increasing. The reverse case, it's decreasing if they voted in the past, but they've not been voting in the last 2 years. If it's a 1-0-1-0 kind of a scenario, they are intermittent voters. And those who never voted go into category 5, and those who are never eligible to vote, less than 18, they go into category 6. Coming to the census, again, we had to be cognizant about ensuring that we do not include any zip code data, which is, say, PO boxes or correctional facilities or military bases, and especially zip codes, which we do not have a lot of census data for. And we also had to remove a lot of zip codes which had less than 200 as population, because it's not extremely actionable. And the main socioeconomic factors that we are looking at, which you'll also see when we get to the dashboard, are work status, median income, race, and age, and how combinations of these factors affect voter turnout and average voter percentage. So just to reiterate and sum it all up, first, we performed all the necessary data cleaning, filtering, extraction, and munging, and then we ended up merging the registration and the history files. And then we generated a voter profile scheme, which is manual. And then we came to an aggregated, we came up with different aggregations to get the data sets for dashboard 1 and 2. Whereas for the third one, we are merging the aggregated data set with the census data set that we have. So now I'm going to walk you through, I'm just going to give you a very quick sample of how the Tableau dashboard works. So if you look at it this way, the first dashboard looks at voter profile analysis at a granular level. So here we are taking the use case of the Tampa Bay area, and as you can see right from the offset, you can see that the voting percentages are extremely high for Eastern Tampa region and also the Northern Tampa region. Whereas if you zoom in a little bit and look at this demographic here, which is the downtown part of the city, which are dense population clusters, for those voter profiles which were decreasing, intermittent, or never voted across all party affiliations, all races, and all age groups, these are the action points and areas of opportunity to market better and educate the public for the Hillsborough League chapter. So this is one of our recommendations. Moving on to the second dashboard, which is looking at the voting method analysis at the zip code level. Here we are looking at the city of Miami for Hispanic voters of all voter profiles, and we are analyzing early voters and those who voted at polls. All right? And we need to include the did not vote as well so that we get the exact percentage. And here we are looking at those zip codes which have at least 10,000 registered voters to have some sort of normalization up there. So as you can see, the zip codes in dark red, these are areas where there is extremely high voter turnout. Whereas the areas near the airport of Miami, 33010, 33142, and the above one, 33013, these are areas of opportunity for the Miami League chapter to go ahead and pay attention to and see what kind of opportunities are there to educate the public to go out and vote better. Moving to dashboard 3, I would like to hand it over to Mahmood. Thank you.
For this final dashboard, we had the census analysis on voting effects. On the filters, the user can choose a filter of their choosing, which include age, race, work status, and medium household income. We selected the Jax urban cluster over here, so when we do that, we could see the voter percentage, which changes from purple to yellow at 60%. In this dashboard, we could see these purple areas right here, and we can actually select these and see their data in the table below. We can use this to compare the citizen population over 18, their household incomes, as well as total votes. And that's it. Back to the slides, please. Using these 3 dashboards will give numerous opportunities to the League of Women Voters of Florida to continue to empower and push their mission across the entire state. They can target specific zip codes based on their filtering selections and collaborate with many other chapters around mutual goals and simultaneous voter percentage. Using the public data from voting results as well as census data, this methodology is easily replicable for other voting organizations across the entire country. Thank you all for attending, and I'd like to give the stage back to Dr. Umapathi.
So once more, we can give all them very big hands for them. So they do make it stand here and seem very easy because they have practiced for past 1 week on it again and again and again. So most of them have grown over this past 12 weeks quite a lot, and then I think at this stage they themselves know that. Earlier in the first 2 weeks, they really were waiting for us to say things, And then I think at some point of time, they figured out we are just winging it. So they then started taking up, started suggesting what type of analysis they wanted to do, and then they kind of more started spearheading it as they got more and more confident with what they are doing. So it is quite clear that all of them will have a very bright future. And that is also the main reason we are selecting individuals. It is not like other classes where we are given to the students and we have to work with it. We get to pick the students and work with it, so that makes it this more fun for us to be engaged in. So with that, again, thank you, and very great work by all the interns. So this work, we cannot do it when we don't have a problem. Those who are not courageous enough to come and ask questions and challenges with data, challenges with the social issue, and willing to move forward with where they are. So for that, we need community partners, and we have, as you guys see, we have 3 of them. So we will now, it's their turn to reflect on what our interns have presented. So they're essentially going to reflect on these 3 questions. So they, just like you, all of us, they've been able to listen to what are the 3 biggest big reveal for them. And they have the pleasure of watching this whole 12 weeks. Every other week, they've been listening to the interns, the updates they've been getting too. So they not only got this last hour of work, but they have been seeing it for past 12 weeks. So we now like to reflect on what is their biggest big reveal. Now, given that, what is the impact for their organization? And next other important thing, how are they going to move forward? What are their next important steps? So we would like to now invite their representatives here, Dr. Lucy Chen from Cathedral Arts, and Dr. Ashanti Jackson, and Leah Nash to come to the stage.
Well, first and foremost, I'd love to thank UNF and Data Science for Social Good for this wonderful opportunity, and also Kartik, Dan, and Sarah, and Brian for doing the in-depth analysis with us. Additionally, we would like to thank DCPS for their support in this project. It is because of Dr. Diana Green, and with her help, that we are able to receive 100% completion rate on surveys. I remember when Brian said, "You guys got 100% completion rate," someone in the audience said, "Wow." So that's what I heard. And so it really takes a village. And so, see, those questions were not the ones submitted to me. The first one was, from your personal perspective, why is it important? So I'm going to share a little story. I did not ask for the 15-minute permission, but I promised to keep this short. Similar to many immigrant families, my family immigrated to Canada when we were 7. And private arts education was out of reach for my family, for us. But I remember walking down the hallway and I heard the sound of an orchestra playing, and that lit up. And that was the most precious moment every day for me. And I asked my teacher, "So when do I get to do this?" She goes, "Wait until you're 4th grade. Trust me, from 2nd grade to 4th grade, I wish I was brilliant enough to skip a grade to be in that orchestra class." Well, once I was in orchestra, I learned that playing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star is a little challenging. How many of you have arts experience? A few? Well, in order for all the kids, mind you, nine-year-olds to play Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star together requires a lot of skills. It requires that you look at your teacher, follow instructions, and you know what's more important? You actually have to practice. That's grit, and that's perseverance, and that's teamwork. And through those things, one thing led to the next. As a little child who does not know how to play the instrument, I was fortunate enough, much later on in my career, to perform at Carnegie Hall and London and different places. And that is the power of arts education. It's beyond notes. It instills grit, perseverance, and everything that you've seen in that data, how it improves academic scores, how it improves your math, language, increased attendance, social well-being. And for all of those reasons, That is why CAP continues this data research and to support the importance of arts education. Now, what will be the impact of the project for your organization? I think I just went to question number 2, and I explained. But part 3, what is very exciting, is together with DCPS and with our community partners, we hope to launch a Arts in School certification program. What is that? That is really a roadmap for parents, for community partners, for our museums, for our arts organizations to come together and see where the access gaps are. Does my school have a field trip? We learned that elementary school students, if they have that one-time arts experience, improves their test scores. Well, as a parent, I want to make sure that that's offered in my school. I also want to know that they have after-school arts programs. They have more than just music or orchestra. So that is something that will be working together through the recommendations of this project with DCPS and with our community to build out and to strengthen arts education in Duval. And as many of you see this, it takes a village. So thank you all for this opportunity. We are beyond grateful. So thank you.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for this opportunity. I feel really honored and really humbled to be amongst nonprofits of this caliber. We have been hidden for a little bit, our nonprofit organization, but I am Ashanti Jackson. Just wanted to introduce myself. I am the young lady whose mom said every single day, Ashanti, I want you to put your game face on. And every day, that really meant something special to me. I actually played college basketball, and so yes, I am dressed up, but I do enjoy sports a lot. And I knew firsthand my heart was to impact the community and to impact young people. I have such a big heart for youth, and I have such a big heart to see the youth succeed. I had opportunities at a young age to play sports and to really have an advantage. And so when I got older, graduated from college, I knew I wanted to give back and start an organization where we could have sports, the game of basketball, and go into these communities and provide opportunities for young people who were not able to do so. If you know a little, I know the data research and definitely proves this, but sports is such a draw for young people, and they are able to learn at a quicker rate. And so the vision for sure of GameFace is to be able to use basketball, to use sports, and to go into these communities that impact on the education side. I also taught in the Duval County public system and charter school system, so I know firsthand working boots on the ground with these young people. And so again, I just want to thank you guys for giving me this opportunity to be here and to really service the community. So from the project that might have been number 1, but the project's big reveal, and what it really revealed to me is the need. There are so many great nonprofits out there, and so we're just humbled to be a part of that. It does take a village to raise a child. You're so right. And so this project, the interns did such a great job. It allowed me to understand and see firsthand where specifically the needs are. And so number 2, what are the impact of the project on our organization? This was such a boost for our organization. It was such a game changer for our organization. We were able to see clearly the specific target areas around Jacksonville from that data, and that gives us a clear sense of direction on who to partner with and where to specifically go. And number 3, what are the next steps for our organization? I'm really excited. I am the founder, but I do get an opportunity to work firsthand with a lot of, the organization's needs and things of that nature. And so the next steps are definitely taking the charge and going into these communities, filling the gaps and filling the needs of these young people. And we could not have done it without the amazing, brilliant minds of the interns mapping a clear picture of where specifically that need is. So thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you, interns. You did such a great job. And we're just excited to go out there and really make a difference.
Hi there. My name is Leah Nash. I'm the Executive Director for the League of Women Voters of Florida. Thank you. I'm with great people here, and I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you for this opportunity. We've actually had the opportunity to be here for a second year. Last year, interns also worked on the project for us. We did the big reveal via Zoom. So today, being in this space and in this event with all of you makes it even more special. So thank you to all of you. As I said, we're the League of Women Voters of Florida. Our mission is empowering voters and defending democracy. And when Mahmoud asked today who here voted, and a ton of people raised your hands, I was super happy to hear that. But my big reveal today is, and it's something I kind of knew, was there's a lot of people out there, a lot of voters, a lot of people about to vote, a lot of people, just citizens who aren't voting quite yet. And that's where our foundation, the League, comes from. We're trying to register voters and get them out to vote. And this information, just like what Ashanti said, shows us the need, where we need to be, and how we can get out there. So thank you for that information. And as Mahmoud and Adi said, it was so much information. Every week we'd come back and they would say, we're still cleaning the data, which I so appreciated. So thank you for that. That was our big reveal. Where's the impact? I said it just a moment ago, and I think you're getting it. We're going to be able to see the pockets of people, our citizens who are not registered to vote and who are not voting, and work with them, work with those communities, and get them to go out and vote. That's important. We want people to understand that their voice matters. So the work that is being done today, that you all did, is going to help with that. So thank you. And finally, the impact. What are we doing specifically? Well, I feel very lucky that we came out of this with 3 dashboards. That means that I can go to my members. As Mahmoud said, we have 29 local leagues across the state of Florida. And my members are all volunteers. We only have a few staff members. And they love to get this information so that they can do the good work in their communities. But now I have 3 tools that I can give them, like physically give them access to, so that they can figure out what areas in their communities they need to target to get people out and voting. Not only that, I can go to my 29 local leagues and say, hey, there are some patterns. This area and this area, it's similar. Maybe you can work together. Maybe we can create combined messaging for you. Maybe the state staff can provide tools that can help you get people out to vote. So all of the information that was provided, the tons and tons and thousands of I don't know what you're calling the lines, the rows. I know they didn't really show it to us. It's making a difference. So thank you so much, Mahmoud, Adi. Thank you, Karthik and Dan, and everybody here, all of the supporters. This is a wonderful program. When I hear the words data scientists for social good, that is like a pot of gold to nonprofit people. I mean, it's amazing that this is happening. So thank you very much.
Again, let's give them all quite big hands too. I'm sure someone in the audience or someone watching on YouTube or will be watching this recording later, you have a lot of different project ideas, so if you do, please reach out to us. So with that, we're now ready to get to the next stage, is the Q&A process. So they're going to set up the chairs for us, get ready. So I'm going to invite Dr. Richard and all the interns also come to the stage. Could you please wait for them to set the chairs, and then you guys can sit. So only those who are in the audience can ask the question. So meaning those who are in the WJCT can ask the question. So once they set the chairs, they will get to sit. And I will be walking around with the mic. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand, and I will bring the mic to you. And please ask the question on the mic so that it is in the recording. So please be patient. So again, if you have questions, please raise the hands. Okay.
Great. So we can start. I mean, we had our community partners, our clients, people we work with for their projects, kind of talk about the impact. And I'd like to just kind of start the Q&A with our students about their kind of big takeaways, their big reveals about their own pathway through this data science and social good field. So I'll just open it up to you guys to start with that initial reflection.
Okay, so that was a good question. The question that Dr. Shard was saying about data science and social good, I think the thing that I learned the most was how real world this is. Like, all the data you're gonna get isn't gonna be super, like, already there, ready for you. You need to do a lot of cleaning, a lot of preparing before you actually do the analysis or the visualizations and stuff like that. So I think that's a really big part of it, and that's one of the biggest things I learned.
I think one of the biggest things I learned is how many opportunities there are in the community for data science and data improvement. Sometimes you think, oh, it's only a large corporation that has millions of data points, but even the smallest organization, every organization has some sort of data that we can use to help improve their organization.
For me, the biggest takeaway was to solve the same problem. There are so many ways you could do it. There are so many ways you could go about it, but somewhere having a clear understanding of what would have the highest level of impact for your client from their perspective, and how we give more importance and emphasis to the particular solutions that can help them make decisions more clearly and more quickly. That was the biggest takeaway for me, and I really enjoyed working on this project.
I would say out of 12 weeks of internship, we spent 10 weeks in data cleaning, and analysis was done in 2 weeks only. So this is what I learned, that when we read about the analysis, you cannot feel it until you do it. So it was like I was living that moment, what I was reading before about the analysis.
For me, the biggest learning was dealing with a project which did not have any data at all in the start. So working as a data analyst there, we always had some form of data to analyze, but this was a good experience where we had to explore the options where we could get the data from and then do the analysis and the cleaning part. So yeah, it was a good experience.
Sarah, you can unmute and speak.
Hi. Yeah, so my previous experience with working with data has been just really zoomed out, basically trying to understand how the brain processes language, and I hope that that can maybe trickle down to like help people learn how to teach reading better, things like that. But this project was just really, really special to me because I got to see kind of firsthand how data can make an impact, and basically how these analyses and skills that we have can be used to just do good in the community. And I think out of this, I would love to someday work for a nonprofit and do data science. This has been a really awesome opportunity.
Hi. Yep. Hey, I have a question, which is more of a technical, but it relates to all the projects. So, how much machine learning or AI did you guys use, like in percentage wise? Like, was it like 40-60 or 50-50, or how much?
I think I'll speak for the League project. Having access to what was done last year and a little bit of pointers actually helped us a lot. Although we did not use any existing ML models to leverage that for our own benefit. At least when you look at it from the perspective of coming up with those voter profile classifications, it was done manually, but at the end of the day, it is some form of ML architecture to be able to classify the voters into certain categories and then aggregate it so that we can view it at the dashboard level. So it is a major contributor for one of the 3 dashboards of probably 33%, and very helpful for the league as well, like Leah mentioned.
Yeah, for us in the Cathedral Arts Project, we use latent class analysis, and I would consider that to be like a semi-supervised version of machine learning, in that we were able to control the different factors that were in the model, but we had no control of what the output was that came back from those models.
So as I mentioned in my comments, right, one of the things I feel passionate about is integration of disciplines and the interdisciplinary perspective. So I'm curious, I know you came from different disciplines. If you were from data science, what was something you learned from the social science side? You were a social scientist. What did you learn from the data science side? Just curious.
So I am from public health and epidemiology concentration. And data analysis, I think it is everywhere. It's in every field. And I get to learn how to analyze things when you have a lot of data, how to make sense out of it. I think now I know the basics, so I can figure out what does it mean.
I would say I'm a data science student, but I would say in my life I've been with I've been more interdisciplinary, whether it's volunteering or whether it's helping out others, as well as the honors college at UNF. That's a big one on interdisciplinary work. So I would say using that as well as this just reinforces the idea of like needing to do good when you can. Like if you have the opportunity, you need to seize it and be able to explore and help.
So prior to starting this internship, I had worked as an English teacher in Spain while my master's degree is in data science. So I have a data background, but I also felt that I had a unique opportunity that I've had a boots on the ground experience of what it's like to work with children and see what it's like in the school system. I'm sure the Spanish school system is drastically different from my experience in Spain, but I know that I guess everywhere in the world, teachers are strapped for resources and they're trying to do the best that they can. And so I think that with these kind of data-formed decisions, we can make very direct impacts on schools.
Sarah, did you want to say something about that from the social science perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in psychology, which I think many would consider social science, but I'm more in like the neuroscience area. So I think I think the thing that I learned from this is just basically how much of an impact the data can make in either a positive way or a negative way, and that it doesn't exist in a vacuum, and that you have to kind of be conscious of the ways that you go about analyzing it, but also the ways that you go about presenting it to make sure that people who aren't data scientists understand the data and how it impacts the social problems.
Yeah, that was a good point. During the semester, or during the summer, we were talking to some of the mentors, and the interns said, how do you explain p-values, to a broad audience? And the advice was, you don't.
You can also ask questions. The community partners are sitting behind the chairs comfortably.
Other questions from our audience?
One of the fun things about doing analytics is finding surprising findings. And so besides the data cleaning element taking the vast majority of your time and that perhaps being a surprise, on the finding side, and this is for anybody on the stage, is there anything where you went, wait a minute, what? Because that's really where the fun starts.
I just haven't really had a chance to analyze the data yet. It's been a ton. But I I am going to pivot to another thing that I just wanted to say. And that is with the dashboards, and I'm so happy to be able to get those. I mentioned that earlier. But when I worked with Mahmoud and Adi, I had to tell them, the people that I work with, my members, tend to be a little bit older, and they might not understand or be able to embrace the technology that much. So as a client, I had to say, can you please make this as simple as possible? And I really felt that they listened to me and worked really hard to do that and kept it in mind. So I wanted to say thank you for that. And in an answer maybe to your question in the future, it will be easier for my members to use the dashboards and then be able to find those aha places that we might not have known about in terms of voter turnout.
Would you like to go? Oh, sorry. Okay. What I would say actually came from kind of the preparation part, whether it's looking at the census and you'd see total population values, you'd be like, there's 10 people here. And then you go inside and you research and oh, there's military housing here, there's correctional facilities here and other things like that, where you really need to dive deeper. And, after those, wow, you see percentages in the thousands or something, you got to go back and check why exactly is that. So I think that was a big, big thing.
Yeah, so I think my aha moment, I guess, from looking through the data, with the latent class analysis, we were able to, see all the different factors that describe different art programs in Jacksonville. And we identified a few different clusters that had really robust art programs, yet they seem to report lower funding. And I find that interesting because, we always think, well, we just need more money. It's just more money. It's just more money. But people are still finding a way, and people are still being resourceful with what they have access to create a great art program.
I'll follow up on that. So I think one of the things with looking through the data, so initially we were including arts magnet programs in our analyses, and I think at first some of these kind of relationships between outcomes and the arts programs, we initially thought maybe were just kind of the result of these outliers, pulling the relationships in that direction. But I was really excited to find that when we excluded the arts magnet programs that have really robust arts programming from the analyses, those relationships held, and if anything, maybe were stronger. So I think that was a really cool moment for me to see that.
Yeah, I have a quick question. I heard on a couple occasions that the military bases, excuse me, were omitted. They're very much a fabric of this community. Was there a particular reason why they were omitted from the research?
I would say mostly it was military housing as well. It was just these specific ones had their population counts from the census weren't exactly really accurate. Maybe they weren't counting the people. It was a different sense in how they were counting the specific people in the census and using that as well. And we just wanted it to be we just wanted not to include sensitive information if these people wanted not to have their data out in the world.
Yeah, just to add to that, there is also a big public exemption angle to that. So at the zip code level, there is not a lot of census data which is available for those specific zip codes. So we couldn't really analyze any socioeconomic variables for those particular areas.
Coming.
Hi, this is a question to the clients, actually. So before this whole thing happened, right, UNF helped for the data analytics and all these projects. What kind of mechanism did you have for doing all these surveys and all those? Did you use any tools earlier, or now are you going to use these tools like dashboards and all those things? Were you having anything else that you guys were using earlier?
I guess I'll start. Like I said, being a part of this program has enabled our organization because we are a little newer to the game and we are emerging. So having this data has enabled us to, again, find a clear sense of direction. We are able to use this data on a day-to-day, month-to-month basis. And so that's particularly for our organization. This has given us the opportunity to really just dive deeper into the specific areas. And so this is going to be really important for us, if that makes sense. This is something that we will use for sure. Absolutely.
So for Cathedral Arts Project, we partner with the National Endowment of the Arts and the Kennedy Center. So this LEAD survey that you see has been in existence for over 3 years. So we do have a very robust group of community partners that come together to help us do our preliminary analysis. But with the support of Data Science for Social Good, it allows us to do a very deep and thorough dive into looking at each small group. And we look forward to continuing this process as well.
I guess for us, the answer is pretty much no. So we're very happy to be a part of this program for 2 years. We do have access to things like the Voter Access Network, which is called VAN, but the personalization of this project was really impressive to me. So, I mean, I was treated like a client. So when we had our meetings, they asked me questions and they asked me what I wanted, and then they tried to provide it. So I do believe that this program is really special in that regard, and I appreciated that professionalism.
My question is for the interns. What would be your recommendation to UNF and others? What could we improve next year?
So I and Adi, we come from USF and we are from Tampa, and we got a chance to come here and work with everyone else for last few weeks. But as the COVID is ending, we would feel that if the internship program could not be remote, and we could, or it could be a combination of hybrid structure where interns come here, stay for a while, and then go home, work remotely. That would be a good opportunity, because I and Adityan enjoyed a lot while we stayed here and worked as well.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think at least if it would have been possible to come here for the first week or so, I think it would have helped us a lot more to bond really well with the interns, and I think it was a fantastic experience. Professors have been super helpful. We really have nothing to say. They've gone above and beyond and helped us, and also the clients and mentors who've given us the right pointers when we needed it. So perhaps that's the only thing that we would have liked additionally.
I would just wish that there was more time. I really enjoyed the program, and if I could do another month of this, I definitely would do it for another month.
Yeah, I was going to say time and the not being able to, me and Audie became good friends during this, but like if we were in person and we were able to, communicate like that, would have been better. But, this program was amazing, as they've all said, the professors, especially the resources as well. Like these slide decks that you see were all provided to us, and we were all able to just use them to our best of abilities. So I'm really grateful for that.
So Meenakshi, do you have something to say? We'll hear from Sarah also.
Even though we were doing the internship online, I felt like we are all together at the same place at the same time, and because whatever the problems we had, it was solved instantly. We would just put our question in the Slack, and within 5 minutes we'll get the reply. It was like everybody is there every time. So, and professors were so helpful. Yep. Yes, we should clap for them actually.
Sarah, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I hate to be unhelpful in my answer to this question, but I think I echo everyone else by just saying that I really don't think that there's anything that could have been done better, and I really appreciate all of the work that Dan and Karthik and everyone else involved in this put into it to make it a really smooth, amazing learning experience for all of us.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think it's really, we've been hearing this theme, you know, it takes a village, right? And yes, they said, oh yes, we're there, but we had mentors, we had faculty support, we had all of you, and the collaborative spirit, the cooperative spirit, that really helped out the program as well. So I just want to give yourselves like a really good, hearty thank you and applause for like sticking with this and working with this with us. So thank you.
So from Q&A, we are ready to move to the next stage?
Yes, yes. Yes, thank you. So, so it's been a great summer, and we're so fortunate to have Dr. Moez Lamayam to join us as our president and to join us tonight as well. So we'll have him make some closing remarks.
Thank you, Dan. Good evening. Okay, you're probably asking why I'm not on stage. I have an explanation. Sorry? Okay, you're taking a risk. I will tell you why. Okay, so when I talk about students, I get very excited. When I talk about community, I get very excited. The last few times I talked about students, I almost fell. I talked about community, I almost fell. Imagine if you put both together, what would happen? So watch out, don't let me fall. But in all seriousness, thank you for inviting me. Dan and Katak, wow, you make me so proud, really proud. Please, let's give them a big round of applause. Like Dean Kaveri, I've been here only 3 weeks, and 2 days, and 6 hours, and 23 minutes, and enjoying every second of them. And people have been asking me, what is your vision for UNF? Having spent 10 years at USF, yes, I hired these students, I recruited them, so I'm glad to see you. And for the record, when I was in Tampa Bay, even though I was East Tampa Bay, I was always voter, so just, yes. But when they ask me, what is your vision for UNF? I said, it's really pretentious for me, after just a few days or a couple of weeks, to come up with a well-articulated vision. The vision has to be a vision that everyone participated in from the entire university, but also the community. But I know very well that the vision should be centered around students. The vision should be centered about our people, faculty and staff, and also about our community. And I'm sure you see why the last 2 hours I spent here were among the most refreshing in my 3 weeks and 2 days and 6 hours. Yes, true, I had to deal with budget cuts and people who want raises in 3 weeks and parents who are complaining about not enough dorms, but also met great people and really initiative like this is what UNF is all about. This is why I'm so excited to lead an incredible university in an amazing community like the Jacksonville region. Jay, my colleague here, knows very well I'm a data guy, and my team already sick and tired every time they say, I think, I say, please don't think, give me the data. But also, I know that if you torture the data long enough, it will confess to anything you want it to. We also know that people complain from the death from math distraction. So that's, we're all here. But what you've proved today to us is very different. This is, I know our mantra at UNF has been and always will be the WWW. That's the win-win-win. When we partner with great organizations like yours, we achieve that WWW. The biggest winners are the students. Because see, now with these project on your resume, I can assure you, you are ready to conquer the world. And I hope some of the employers are already thinking about some jobs for you. The second winners are our great organization, nonprofit and for-profit, but also the community. When going back to what UNF is all about, UNF, and if you look at all major cities in the country, every major vibrant city in the country has a very vibrant public university as its backbone, its backyard. This is what UNF would like to be. We have been always with great people like we have here. And of course, the last W, the last win is for us and for our faculty, because this is what, even though it is true that you do this and probably it's not part of your day job, but it is so important for your university, for your students, but also for our community. So I'm really grateful for the great co-leaders. Thank you for sponsoring, Matt. Thank you for sponsoring this great event, for all the mentors and other faculty, but also for the organizations who gave our students a chance. I was so happy to hear words like game changer for us, impactful, timely. This is where we want to be, and I'm going to go home much happier tonight seeing that what our faculty and our universities are doing for our community and for our students. So thank you so much for having me tonight. Thank you.
So this is it, we are end of it. So quite obviously, if we have to continue doing this, we need funding. So this is our pitch for, if you have capacity to support us, please do reach out to us, and we are happy to keep doing what we are doing in the scale we can. So with that, we just want to set the plug-in for the next year, for 2023. So again, we essentially start our solicitation around January. So if you are community partners, you want to discuss with us before January, please do to reach out to us. So the application process for the students and for the community partners opens up in the mid-January. So that's the end of the event. So want to thank everyone who made time to come down here. We very much appreciate. And those who are still in YouTube, still hanging around there, thank you very much for you guys. And also for Sarah, who went to Ireland to attend a conference, but still made time for us to join in via Zoom. I don't know what time it is right now, but it is time for her to sleep soon enough. So thank you for everyone for that. And most other importantly, I know everything worked out today very well. That's mostly thanks to all the WJCT guys over there, the whole team. Let's give a very big hands for them. So at the start, I mentioned we have the video being recorded and it's being live streamed, and we have different Zoom and everything. And all the audio making work is not necessarily easy. When we came in and did multiple tests, so again, they have been very awesome in making all of this work. And also thank you, our photographer, to volunteering to help us out in here too. So again, when administrators, most often as a faculty member, we do ask for many things, but when administrators make time for us, that's actually one of the most wonderful things for us. So again, thanks everyone for making time to come out here. So with that, this is it, end of it. Thank you, everyone. We're going to do a little bit of a photo shoot soon, so on the stage. So all of the representatives from UNF and community partners and the interns, other mentors, if you're around, please come and join us. We're going to do a big group photo. So thank you, and we will see you guys in some other places.